Hello, I'm going to try and show you now some smart ways to try and fix the errors that always occur when you type HTML. Now, most common errors are missing off closing tags or speech marks. Let me just show you the effect of those. So I'm going to go over to my editing page now, and this is my layout. You can see it's very simple. Now, one of the reasons why I prefer to debug before I put the content in is because you can see how simple the code looks. Let's just check that this behaves as expected. Yep, it works nicely. Now, if you look at the code, because there's no photos, there's no images, there's no text, all the code needed for my whole page is just this. It's really quite short, considering all the gaps in the lines as well. I could even tidy up that. Now, say I've got two lines here. In order to tidy that up, I just press Shift down, and I can take out the entire line, just like that. I probably don't need a line between my... This thing here is an HTML comment, and notice the structure. It's the pointy bracket, exclamation mark, 2 dashes, and then you write your comment, and then you close it off with 2 dashes and a pointy bracket facing the other way. I probably don't need a space between the comment and the actual div, because it's that comment is about that div, you see. Now, I'm pressing the tab key here, which is over on the left hand side of your keyboard. That automatically indents like that. So I'm going to take out that line there. I pressed Shift and down, and I take that line out. I could also take out that line there, Shift and down, Shift and down. Okay, I'm going to take out that line there. Notice how I've left a space between the sections of my code here. Take out that line. Okay, I tend to leave spaces to make it easier to read, but you get the idea now. Let me show you what happens if we miss off one of these closing tags. So look over here, look at the screen, menu bar, big image, and then we have our content 1 and 2 columns, and we have our footer. So I'm going to take out that closing bracket there. Just watch what happens. Oh dear. So we totally lost the menu bar there, didn't we? And we're now back to just having a big image. If you look at the color coding here of the code, that's intended to try and help us spot errors. But I don't really see much difference there at the moment. So you can easily see the effect over here. Now let's put it back in. Now be careful, watch what happens when I put it back in. Edity has automatically closed the div tag. Okay, this is a feature called autocomplete. So we need to delete that. And now we're back to how we were when we started this. Okay, so that's the pretty dramatic effect of missing off a closing tag. So be on the lookout for that, and then when you put it back in, make sure you don't have autocomplete problems. Now, the other major error was missing speech marks. So I'm going to delete this speech mark here. Now, we're inside a div tag, and we've got the attribute for ID for this div, and we've also got an attribute to assign it a class from the W3 style sheet. So I'm just going to take that out. So this attribute speech marks will be unclosed. Now this is quite a big effect. So look over here as I delete that. Whoops, I just watch what happens on the right as I delete that. So that was even worse than before. Not only did we lose the menu bar entirely, but we've lost the color coding on the big image as well. Now look at the actual color coding of my HTML. Notice how now this comment here, down here, is now in green, and that shouldn't be the case. It should be the values of attributes which are in green. Let's put the speech mark back in and see what happens. Whoops, wrong key. There we go, and it's all back together again. So it's really important that you don't miss any of these elements, speech marks or curly square brackets or pointy brackets, when you're doing your HTML. Let's just see what happens if we don't close the comment before it properly. Again, we've lost the color formatting of our text, and we've lost our menu bar. So even a very small error is going to cause huge problems for your page. Now, indenting is one way of making your code easy to read. Let me just show you how this works. So this is my first row, and everything inside this div is indented. There's only one line inside, but you can see how it's been indented. Now there's different kinds of indenting. I prefer to press Tab, which does an automatic jump across, or you can do it with a spacebar, 1, 2, 3, 4, but I prefer to do it with a Tab. Tab automatically puts 4 spaces in. Now the reason we do that is that everything inside this div should be in from the actual opening tag, and if we want to go to the bottom of this div, we just scroll down, and that's the bottom of the div. With a simple div like this, it's obvious where the beginning and the end is, but when your div is longer, for example, look at this responsive row of content here in the middle. This is content 1 and content 2. Notice how we've got more going on inside this div, so it's even more important that now at the moment what I'm doing is I'm shift and down, and it's more important that we can find the opening and the closing tag, okay? And everything inside that div is indented across. Notice that we have this div is inside the outer div, and then this is inside this div, so we indent again to show how things are nested inside one another. Alright, now it may be that you're just not sure, so we're talking about debugging. It may be that you're just not sure how the tags behave. You know, what attributes can we specify for a div tag? Don't forget to go over to HTML on W3 Schools, and we've got an HTML reference there. Okay, so we can look in this menu here for anything, and it will tell us exactly how to use the HTML. There we are, HTML elements, and we've also got a reference. Sorry, this is actually going to teach you how to use HTML, and then here's the reference, tag reference, and here we can check. I think it's got all of the commonly used tags and the attributes which we can ascribe to those. So you find the tag you're after, click it, and we'll get another page telling us exactly how to use that. Okay, so please remember this is a really, really good resource. And yes, let's go back to Editor again. Notice how I have put these lines of writing in here. These are called HTML comments. And it's a comment because the computer doesn't actually read this. When it sees the opening syntax here, the opening characters, it automatically jumps over this, and it knows that this is just for people to read, not computers. And then when it sees this, it starts to read and to process the HTML again. So please do use those comments. You'll find those extremely helpful. If you're not able to read HTML fluently, we can put comments in to help us to interpret it later. Also, if you're working with somebody else, these comments are absolutely essential. If you have a bad memory, they're helpful, but if you're working with somebody else, they really, really are very important. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Please let me know if you need any help debugging your code. I will only debug your code if you have indented it though. Okay, so if you want me to help you, please make sure that you've indented all of your code, and then I'll be very, very happy to help you to debug it. Okay, happy HTMLing. So, thanks for watching.